yeah, I could go, hey, we're live. Holy moly. How'd that happen? Check, test, 1, 2. How do we all sound? Are we all awake this morning?
What's going on? Hey, everybody.
Has everybody
How's
done their
everybody doing today?
paradiddles? Has everybody done their paradiddles for the day, their rolls?
Yes, sir.
Everybody get some mandatory rudiments in?
How do we all sound? Are we all awake?
I rolled out of
Hey,
bed.
everybody, welcome to the Drummers Education Connection, guys. Here we are today talking about building a network. We decided to have a roundtable. We haven't had one of those in a while, and we've been interviewing a lot of great drummers and having a lot of great drummers and people come on, and it's been a lot of fun. And we decided to go ahead and do a roundtable today about building a network, kind of what a network is, how to get a network going, how to get people involved in your network, and when you're in a network, how to. I think Rick made a good point before we got on air. Not just like taking from people, but giving back. That's what we're trying to do here with these little educational things on Drummers Education Connection. So that's what today's topic is. How's everybody doing today?
Doing good.
Awesome. Rick, you got your coffee. Look at you.
Awake. My wife made me a yummy coffee.
Fantastic.
It's called triple peckered Billy Goat coffee.
What is it called?
Triple peckered Billy Goat from Raven Coffee.
I'm speechless. I'm never speechless.
I know. It's a good coffee, though.
I bet it. I hope it is.
It's got a weird name, but it's good.
Yes, it does.
All
right. So building a network. So what does that entail? I'm going to throw it up to my buddy Jeremy Steinkohler up in the Bay Area. Jeremy, what is building a network to you? What is that all about?
But before I answer that, I just want to encourage all you guys who are listening today to chime in with your own thoughts about this and your own questions, because this is really a group discussion, and we'd love to have your input on it. So for me, building a network is not just about drumming, and it's not just about people that do exactly what you do per se, but connecting with people that to help one another, right? So building a network for me has to do, I think about it in terms of like surrounding myself with the people who are going to help me succeed and help me grow. And I want to be a part of the network to help other people succeed and grow too. So, that can look all kinds of different ways. Sometimes it can just be a friend who's, a confidant who you bounce ideas off of, or before you send an email, you ask someone to look it over for you. It could be knowing a graphic designer who's a great asset or resource. It could be knowing a piano player who gets a lot of gigs locally and might refer you or recommend you. Could be a producer. You're networking with producers and engineers every time you go to the recording studio. It could be other drum teachers, like what we do. Like I think of we almost called ourselves the Drummers Education Network, right?
That's right.
That was the concept.
Yep, that's right.
We were trying to create, not the four of us to connect with one another, but for us to open up a platform for all drummers and instructors from all over the world to connect with one another, to gain access to resources, things that could help their careers, whether it be, advice on teaching or, how to succeed, or how to get endorsements, or how to handle students. That's kind of what we do here on the Drummers Education Connection, right? We interview people sometimes. Those interviews are not just, for fun. They're also for learning, right? For us to figure out, here's some examples of all different people who have succeeded in what they're doing, and what can we take away that can help us succeed on our path, right? Each of our paths is different from one another, but there's always something we can learn from everybody else's experience. And the great thing about the drumming brotherhood and sisterhood is that everyone is so open and supportive and wanting to help one another. I've never run into people who don't want to share and don't want to help other drummers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So to me, that's what it's about. It's like surrounding yourself with the people who will help you grow, and being a part of other people's networks to help them grow as well.
Right. Very well said. Very well said. Rick, how about you? What is building a network to you?
Man, it's all about a community and helping one another out. And everything I agree with everything Jeremy said. It's very much about teamwork and looking at what's going to move forward for the collective. So a great example for me is, I saw the great Rich Redmond um, in clinic in Tennessee, and the way that he evolved his career as a studio drummer was he networked with a bass player and a keyboard player, and they were a rhythm section. They were a whole team. So if there was a studio session and we needed a drummer, Rich would say, "Hey, I have a bass player. Um, do you need a bass player?" Like, wow, by the way, we do need a bass player. And Rich would say, "Well, hey, I've worked with this bass player for years, so we already locked in. Do you need a keyboard player?" And suddenly you've got this tight rhythm section. And then if the bass player got a call, well then, hey, do you need a drummer on this session? And so it was that whole teamwork. They elevated as a group rather than just all alone. And that ended up, I believe, into them being in, the biggest country band in the world. When Jason Aldean needed a rhythm section, it was like, well, those were the three cats that worked together. Kind of like the Wrecking Crew in LA in the late 60s and the 70s, well, mostly 70s. So it's generally about teamwork, and that's really how we got here. It was Chip networking. It was Chip saying, "Hey, I have some friends through Aquarian. I've met through Aquarian who are drum teachers. How are we going to get through COVID?" And that's how this whole thing started. And it's usually a slow cook, a network. You kind of have to participate. It needs a little nurturing and watering, like a garden needs its water and weeding, and it takes time. If you think you're going to just kind of like friend some people and start hanging out with them real quick, and then you're going to benefit, it's going to be a long road. It's more of like spend time together and just try to contribute, and everybody contribute as much as they can. So it's a very proactive kind of approach to success and happiness. So how about you, Chip?
I don't really have much to add mother that's already been said. I really like what you guys have been saying, and it really describes building a network to a T. I think that when it comes to building a network, for me, my introduction to building a network was actually getting my own business card started and getting my own website together and getting my home base, my base camp set up first, and then reaching out to other people that I would see on the gigs or trade shows. Most of my network in the music industry has come from my visiting NAMM and being prepared with my cards and my phone and my contact app. You know what I mean? Entering people, just reaching my hand out and shaking hands, saying hi and making connections. That's the main thing. And over COVID, the whole offline thing, we're doing this whole thing online. That really was the genesis of Drummers Education Connection. Was me talking to Bart, thinking about, how can I improve my drum business? Who else is in the drum business? And what could we share with each other that would help us each improve our own business? That's the nucleus of what I was thinking about when it comes to building a network. What about you, Bart?
I second everything that everybody said, and I always look at, I look to the three of you guys for inspiration. I really do, and I think we all have learned so much from each other. You look at Rick and you look at his studio and everything that he does there. The guy's a shining example of a positive person, a networking person. Rick, over at your studio, you've done clinics with Daniel Glass, with Zorro, right?
And Gene Hoglan.
And Gene Hoglan, and you've brought so many people together in the drumming community on your own. And my hat is always off to you. You are the shining example of a networking person. I kind of think that,
Thanks, man.
and to the younger players out there who are, I think there's always an aspiration when you get into playing a musical instrument to hopefully, whether, now a lot of people are social media influencers, and that's a big thing. If you want to do that, or if you want to be in a band, you're going to have to network with other people, and you're going to have to be able to network, give them something too, like we're all saying here. It's not just all take, it's, it's what can you give? Are you able to provide a service? Are you able to, I think it kind of goes without saying that as a teacher or a performer that you can play, that's taken for granted to an extent. But I think, what can you contribute? What can you contribute? Like Rick said, I think you said it best when you said, give your all, and I think that's what networking is. It's not just taking, it's giving as well.
Just imagine that you were at
Yeah.
the NAMM show and you went up to a booth of your favorite drum company and you found the rep there, and you said, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. I play, I gig, I teach, blah, blah, blah. And I love your product. How can I help you guys?
Right.
I mean, what sales rep wouldn't be like, whoa, that's like
Right.
amazing. Wow. I want to know who this guy is. I want to connect with him and I want to, see how he can help. He's offering to help me. Right. When I
Yes.
talk to Chip on the phone, he always asks me at some point in the conversation, what can I do for you? How can I how can I help you today? And sometimes it's like, it almost shocks me.
I know. I love that.
I'll third that because
it gives me pause. It like stops me in my tracks sometimes because it makes me think like, yeah, why don't I say that more often? Why don't I think first about how I can help other people instead of, I'm always thinking about whatever path I'm on, the goals I want to achieve. But that's how we get there, right?
Yeah.
We all get there with the help of our friends.
Yeah. It's too bad Chip's not a chick. So, hey, how can I help you?
Chick Ritter.
So.
Chick
Chick
Ritter.
Ritter. I always ask him, well, you're in Tucson, I'm in Ontario, bring me a pizza. And it just hasn't happened yet.
Doesn't work. Doesn't work.
But Jeremy, your point about NAMM, I'm sorry, did you have a thought you were still finishing?
Go ahead. I got something else, but you go ahead, Rick.
Okay, well, your point about NAMM, there's a great contrast that we could look at in the two approaches.
Right.
So many people are going to be going to NAMM, and they're going to go right up to the manufacturer and say, "Hey, can I have an endorsement?
Right.
I have a band, and we draw a lot of people." They might say that. They might go, "I'm a really good drummer. I can play to Tom Sawyer. Can I have an endorsement?" As opposed to, oh my God, I already play Aquarian drum heads.
Mm-hmm.
I play, you let them know, hey, I already play. I like the Studio X with a power dot. And I like the modern vintage snare head, and I use the super kick too. I let them know I know their product. I already, they're like, wow, this guy really, really knows about us. And then you say, hey, I tell all of my students about these heads. Do you have some catalogs?
Right.
I'd like some catalogs. Do you have any swag? Do you have any stickers? I'd love some Sabian stickers to give to my students. I'd love some Vic Firth posters to give to my students.
Right.
And that plants a seed. It's like, wow, you're working for me. You're doing something. You're trying to help me out. You're not just like, give me something.
Well, and you've got to have you've got to be sincere about it, and you can't have ulterior motives. Even, it's okay to want to get an endorsement and all, but like, you gotta, it may not happen right then and there, and so you got to be prepared to like follow through on what you're asking to do because you really want to help.
Right.
It's
got to be sincere.
Yeah.
You just said something, Jeremy, that I think is important. And I know we're talking about endorsements right now, but let's step to the side of that for a second, and let's just talk about let's say you're a person within a network, okay, and you get asked to whatever it is, do a session, or do a gig. What about follow through? Because sometimes it's I think the biggest place where people shoot themselves in the foot is to not have the follow through within a network. They might be the person that is always taking, so it kind of comes back to that. But talk to me about follow through. How important is follow through to your commitment to within a network?
Follow through is huge.
I think you kind of have to have that consistency. You kind of have to show up.
Yeah.
If you're gonna, let's say you're trying to get into break into a music scene. Well, one great way then is to hang out and see a band over and over. Let's say there's a band you want to be in. Well, you want to go to that show. You don't want to just see the band one time. You want to show up every time that band plays and be a recognizable face. And so it's not just a one shot kind of thing. Then they're like, oh, that dude or chick is always at our shows, always bringing friends. And then not just, and maybe even helping out. Like, who is this person that came from the audience is helping the drummer move the drums off the stage? It's sort of like you're being a really great resource for the band. And so, yeah, it's the show up. It's the show up and bring something to the table concept.
Yeah. I think we've all worked with the people that they show up and they want the gig, or they get the gig. They've got the gig, right? And
Right.
I'm sure you guys have worked with this. You have somebody that you're working with, no matter what the gig is, live performances, sessions, whatever, and they show up not prepared, or they just don't do their job. And you can sit here and talk about what that entails all day long, but the fact is they don't do their job, or they let people down. That's one way to not get, or to get out of the network, or to build a bad name for yourself. And that's the one thing that I think that we've said this before on the show. The music business is not a big business. It's not like a lot of people think. They think that, how in the heck am I going to get into the music business? No, I mean, the music business is pretty small. Everybody knows one another. Everybody kind of, and builds that reputation of who they know or who they don't know, or, or what they bring to the table. And you don't want to give yourself a black eye. You got to have the follow through and do the job.
Do you guys can you share some of your own examples of sort of a networking path that was successful for you, where it started, how it started, and then what it led to, and then what came out of it?
I can definitely offer you a good one. And this was in my other life, when I had a corporate job and I was a drummer at the same time. Those were the days I didn't sleep a lot. And I worked for a moving company. They did corporate relocations. Hopefully I could condense this down and not be boring. But our job, my company's job.
How can you be boring with triple peckered goat coffee?
That is true.
You caught me off guard there, Chip.
Awesome.
Sorry, go ahead, Rick.
Billy Goat. Yeah.
I needed that.
So what my company did was do office and industrial relocations. So if you had a big company, say a 10,000 square foot building full of machinery and office furniture, and you needed to move it, my job was to know who was moving and secure a chance to do a bid on the job. And usually every move would take 3 or 4 bids from different companies in competition to get that move. So my sole job was to know every relocation happening in San Diego. So I needed to know companies. So what I did is I set up networking groups. So and maybe through this concept we could find something in music that will help us. But if a company was moving, then obviously they would need a real estate agent. So I needed to know real estate agents. They might need an architect. There it is. I'm friends with architects. They might need to buy furniture, new office furniture. I knew all the furniture vendors. Telcom, all the people who sold phone systems. New carpet people, janitors, people who sold plants. Oh my God, this list
Really?
goes
No kidding.
on and on and on. So basically what I did is I set up very large networking groups that would meet every week. What's that?
Sell plants.
Right. Think about it though, like not that kind of
I'm
plant.
just messing with you.
That stuff was really illegal back then too.
Sorry, Rick.
So yeah, we'd hold a meeting. We'd meet at the boardroom of my company, or go to a commercial. Make it easy. The guy who really know, or the girls who would really know who was moving, were the commercial real estate agents. Well, about 6 of us from different industries would show up at that office with a list of leads. Here's 10 companies that I know that are moving. And everyone would have their list. So I'd have 10 leads. I'd know about 10 moves going on. I'd walk out of that meeting knowing about 60 different moves. And then what we would do is we dig in a little deeper. Well, who's in charge of that move? Who's the decision maker? It's say, oh, here's the name of the decision maker. Oh, that's a lot better than me just trying to call the company up and going, who's in charge of your move? So, and then suddenly, like, someone might say, well, I'm already working. I'm supplying phone systems for that company. Let me talk to them and see if they need a mover. And then you got the walk-in right in, the referral right in. So yeah, that was my job. It was really, really fun. It was all about being social. And the first thing, if I got a lead, if I would hear that a company's moving in 5 months, rather than me calling them saying, hey, can we get a bid? I would call up some of my really good allies in other companies and say, hey, have you heard about this? I would tell them first, because maybe they would get in to the job first, and then walk me in, like with a direct referral. So there it is. That's networking. It was like poetry how well it worked, and it was by really prioritizing the other people. So I've just tried to take that concept and background and apply it to my teaching career and my music career.
Perfect.
So,
Yeah, good.
if there was a good audition, if I heard that, say, Bob Seger was hiring a drummer, and I had no idea who to talk to, I had no idea. And I'd love that gig. You bet your ass I would call Bart in a second. Bart is played in a Bob Seger tribute band. He's the perfect guy for the band. And then I'd say, hey, Bart, well, I'm still going to audition because I'd like the gig, but I think you're a better guy. But who do you think might be the person to talk to? And then we could both share it. And then we both audition. And hey, the better person, the right person for the gig would get it. So that's a great example.
And what's cool about that is this comes back to, the thing, the band thing, the hang, half of being in a band is the hang. And so wherever the audition may find us, me and Rick would go, and it would be, oh man, okay, before you play, watch this one part during Hollywood Nights and push this part and the tempo, and we would talk about it. And then afterwards, we'd probably go have lunch. It wouldn't be this rivalry. It'd be like, how'd you play? I played okay. How'd you play? Man, I've been playing a song for years and I got nervous and I sucked. It would be one of those type of things,
Yeah.
And I think that comes back to just the NAMM and the hang. It's
Right.
I mean, when you go to NAMM and you see your friends, how is it not fun? you're just running into a bunch of your friends. It is about the hang and that reputation that one builds within the hang. That's
Right.
so important.
That's
And then
so
you meet
important.
then you meet your friends' friends, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And turns out one of them has some connection to you because you both grew up in the same area and studied with the same drum teacher or something like that. And then you're going down a rabbit hole, and then before you know it, your friends on Facebook, you're liking each other's posts, they're coming to town, they're touring, you go out and see their show, you hang out, you have dinner, you write a book, they write a testimonial for you. It's like that. Things keep growing and growing.
That's
It's
it.
like any other skill set. You can improve your people skills by practicing and getting out of your comfort zone, reaching your hand out and saying, "Hey, my name is," and nice to meet you. All those things help when building a network.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
that's so big, Chip. And you know what? People skills are probably bigger in achieving success than paradiddles.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
all of the
completely.
other things that we do. It's the hang.
Yeah.
This is really cool, guys. My wife just texted me. There it is. Can you see?
What is that?
Three peckered billy goat. There it is. Can you see it?
You got to text that to me, dude. I just have to drink that by the name alone. I love coffee, but I got to have some three-pecker billy goat. Come on.
Thank you, Julia.
Julia, thank you, because before I die, which hopefully isn't today, because I don't think I'm gonna have time to go get any three-pecker billy goat today, but I'm gonna get some. One of the things
it takes time to get the coffee out of the goat.
Do you milk the goat? Hold on, we're going down.
I don't know. I don't think so.
The show just took a digger,
the
man.
goat, dude. I don't think so.
We just went straight into the dirt.
Oh my!
So
I had a story that I don't know. I don't think it's so much NAMM, but it will start with Aquarian. I had been with a different drum company for about a minute because I was approached by them, and I had played, like all of us did, a lot of different drum kits, and I had a few offshore kits, and I played them because maybe my hero drummer played them or something like that when I was younger. But I always would come back to my favorite drum kits were old vintage American-made drum kits. I just thought they sounded best. And when I was a kid, my whole life, if Ludwig was a Cadillac, then Gretsch was a Rolls Royce. And that's just the way I always had thought. And all my favorite drummers played Gretsch. Well, I'd been with Aquarian for quite some time, and I was going to leave the one company because they were no longer building the drum sets that I was playing. And so I was back playing in my Gretsch kit that I had. And so I asked Chris Brady at Aquarian, hey, you're friends with Mark Morales. And he wasn't the A&R rep, but he worked for Gretsch and Command at the time. He introduced me to him, and rather than just asking for an endorsement, there was a kit that I wanted. So I bought the kit. It was the walnut kit that the renowned Purewood, when they first came out with the Purewood kits, I bought that kit. And then after I bought the kit, I just kind of kept going around, and it wasn't like, hey, I want something for free. I play your product. I've bought your product. And then I met Kim Graham. And then from there, I became friends with Kim Graham. And I kept kind of nurturing that relationship with Mark and with Kim. And it was on my third attempt. But on my third attempt, I got the deal with Gretsch and signed with Gretsch. So it was about nurturing the relationship.
Yes.
And it was also about not just asking for something. I didn't want to just, hey, I want to be an endorser and I want some free stuff. No, I already have 2 Gretsch kits, and I'm already using them. I don't want anything. I've paid for them. I just want to be on the roster. And then saw my track record and stuff, and I got the deal. So that was a success story Jeremy asked about, and that's what one that worked out for me. worked out for me.
There you
Jeremy,
go.
you switched places. What happened?
I know.
Well, my
Did,
internet,
did I smell bad? Was the smell like going up or?
It's like
I had
Brady
to
Bunch.
get some coffee.
You got some triple goat pecker. Well,
I
hey,
love
look,
that.
hey, we've been anointed with the technology that we can switch places. on the
Yeah.
internet. Hey, that's my first time. That's my first time, but
You
I
got
got
one
it.
in.
I did it. I beat Chip. I did it. I did it.
You got me.
Hey, and talk about networking. How can you not talk about Chip Ritter when you're talking about networking? We talk about the NAMM show. I've been at the NAMM show so many times, and out of nowhere, this ball of electric explosive energy goes shooting past me, and it's Chip. Bart, what are you doing? He comes up and gives me a hug, and how are you? Come on, let's go twirl drumsticks. And we just always laugh and have a great time. He's always got a story for me and a hug, and just a great dude. You're the king. I remember when I asked you to come and play at the NAMM Jam thing, and you're like, dude, I'm the king of marketing. I'll be there. And he was, and you were promoting the show. So it wasn't, I mean, yeah, of course you're promoting it. Hey, I'm coming out and playing, but you were promoting the show. You were doing your thing, and you followed through, and you were there on time, and you played my drums better than I do. What more could you ask for, man? Chip is a shining example.
It was all about the suit I was wearing. It was the suit that gave me the confidence.
And I love that hat. I love the hat. I thought the hat was...
doing what you love and being involved with what you love makes it easier to get out there and communicate that with other people, and connecting with other people that are doing what they love is really what the name of the game is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Finding out what is that driving factor? What is that? What are their goals? You know what I mean? When you're talking with a friend that, let's say you just make a new connection at NAMM and you start talking with them about what they do, that's where the connections really start. When you realize, you know what I mean? Hey, I'm into this type of drumming. I'm into this type of band. I'm into this type of music. That's where the connection really starts.
Yeah, you have to have a congruency of where your starting point is. You want to network with people who have kind of similar goals or similar values.
Yes, I've got something I think very important to add, which is you don't want to make assumptions about whether somebody is worth talking to. You know, like you never
everybody's
know.
Worth talking to. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. That's right. You never know.
True.
You don't know people. You don't know people, first of all.
Right.
Even when we've all hung out. We feel like we're good friends. We barely hung out in person at all. Just a couple of times at NAMM, right? So,
right.
But I've had this experience where I'll be introduced to someone, be introduced to me through some mutual friend at PASIC or NAMM or a show or something, and I can tell right away that they're looking through me.
Yeah.
This person.
When you're looking off to the side when you're talking,
or like they're not really interested in having a conversation with me because for who knows why. Maybe I'm not famous, right? You're at NAMM and they're trying to meet the famous people and the people that can get them somewhere, and they don't know that I all the things that I do and all the projects I'm involved with, and that I could be a tremendous resource. Connect them with people at Sabian and Hudson Music and Aquarian and Prologix and all these companies, or drummers I know in LA or up in the Bay Area. I could get them gigs and shows and housing for their tour and all these kinds of opportunities that you just don't want to assume anything about anyone, and everyone's got a story, and if they can't help you, maybe you can help them, right?
That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
you're gonna cut yourself short if you think that most of the help comes from you getting what you need. Most of the networking comes from supplying other people with what may benefit them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly. And you definitely can't judge a book by the cover. Some of the most successful people who are the coolest people to know are really, really low key.
Right.
That's my observation. Those guys, I don't know, you see these guys, they're like, super full of themselves. I'm a big rock star. They're not necessarily the people that you want to know, and they might not make themselves that approachable. So
I'm not going to name any names, but I was at a booth at the NAMM show once talking to the rep who I have a relationship with, and some guy came in who was a pretty famous drummer. I knew who he was, and he just walked right in between me and the guy mid conversation
Mm.
and started talking to him
Mm-hmm.
like he mattered, and I
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Right.
I looked at my guy, and he was like, "Sorry, man," you know. So you just be mindful, be respectful.
Yeah.
Everybody is worth something and has value, and you don't want to treat people poorly.
All right. So I've got something to think about is just different areas and places that we can go to network as a musician. I'm thinking obviously gigs. Another thing, I have my student Rebecca Sykes, who's just a killer drummer who's getting a lot of studio work. She's taking a class in recording. So she's at Studio West here in San Diego at their school. And she's meeting so many people at her class. So she's getting studio sessions out of it. She's finding musicians to network out of that. So there's also, social media networking groups. There's like here in San Diego, there's like on Facebook, there's a San Diego networking group.
Or the Drummers Education Connection.
There's Drummers Education Connection. So,
Yes, sir.
so do you guys have any other thoughts or places we could share with everybody? Like you could try this resource to network with or contribute rather than try. Where can you contribute to a network?
I think Chip, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it depends on what your goal is.
Mhm.
What is your goal? And I would say start where you're at and think about all the people that you know. Out of all the people that you know, somebody's got something to say about where you want to go. And so I would go to that person first when they make that first connection and just call them up on the phone and pick their brain.
Right.
You know what I mean? You never know what may come out of their mouth. It
Right.
might help you.
Hey, can I take you out for a coffee or for lunch? I was wondering if I could pick your brain about what you do and how you
exactly. That's
you are.
Right.
That's one of the best things I've learned in the industry of finding people that do what I want to do better than me and trying to befriend them and get into conversations and pick up those little gems that they throw down. One of the best networking stories I remember is I was friends with this guy David Betts. He's watching right now in the UK. I'm friends with him on Facebook and we follow each other and we've talked about drumming before to each other. And I was at the NAMM show and he knew this girl named April Samuels from breastcancercanstickit.org. And he said, April, you got to go meet Chip. And so she came over to the booth that I was performing at, the Humesburg booth, and we hit it off and swapped numbers. And the next thing I know, I'm playing at the big Breast Cancer Can Stick It Drumathon. So I mean, you never know how these connections may lead, but that's basically it, is being open to the connection and being in the water. You know what I mean? It's one thing to have a nice surfboard and sit on the beach and talk about your surfboard. It's another thing to have your board in the water ready for when a wave may happen.
Yep.
There you go.
Well, it's like Dom says, sorry, Rick.
Go ahead, Bart.
When I had to go into the surfboard thing, he says some people are wave makers, some people are wave riders, and some people can't find the beach, and I definitely think in the business, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You kind of have to be a wave maker and to get your name out there. But then sometimes when you're learning from somebody in a like a sit down at a coffee and picking their brain right there, you're a wave rider. Hey, give me some of your information. Let me see where you're at. And I think both of those things are great. And then you have people that are so obviously in a good place, right? They have something happening, but they just can't see it around them. They can't see the forest or the trees. And that's always a sad one, because it's like, all you have to do is just show up and do the gig. And
that makes me think of something else, about enjoying where you are.
Yep.
Or about enjoying the process of whatever it is you're doing, in our case, playing, teaching, gigging, when I was younger, most of my mental energy was focused on what I didn't have.
Yep.
and the next thing that I wanted. And it always felt like there was a lack, like I wasn't enough with what I had. The gig wasn't good enough. It wasn't for enough people. The pay wasn't enough, whatever.
Yeah.
And you can have a transcendent experience, and I can tell you from firsthand, playing in the living room, for 6 people, you can have one of the best gigs of your life, and
Yeah.
that gig can impact people and change their lives, and
Yeah.
you can have, a meaningless experience playing on stage for 30,000 at the arena. If you're not bringing it, if you're not there, if you're you've got substances going on. I mean, or if your attitude's bad and the band vibe isn't happening. So it's it's really important to stop for a second, pause for a second, remember that everything you do has value, and that you want to take the most enjoyment by being present with what you're doing instead of always thinking about the next thing that you don't have. Enjoy the things that you do have, and I actually think that the more you can get into that mindset, the more better things will come for you.
Yes.
If you're a person who's really good at being present, and when you have conversations with people, you're looking them in the eye and you're present with them, and nothing else matters except this conversation right now, or nothing else matters except this moment on stage right now.
Yeah.
That's how you bring your best self to what you do, and
Yeah.
how good things happen to you is when you're being your best self.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a very
Well-
powerful tool. A friend of mine, I was talking with him on the phone, and I was not in a good place, and we were just talking about how I'm not in a good place. And he said, "You know what? I want you to write a 10-point gratitude list and call me back." And hung up the phone. And I went and I had to write out 10 things that I'm grateful for. And it could be my socks. It doesn't matter. Just something that I'm grateful for puts me back into this attitude of gratitude. And that really helps me bring, like Jeremy said, my best self to whatever situation I'm in.
And
the
it's
attitude of gratitude.
Yeah, that's so true. I'll give you one where I used to, like Rick said, in my former life, and also what Jeremy said, about always going on to the next thing. I was so driven, and I'm still a very driven person. When as we all are, I mean, look at Rick. He's writing another book, and he's already got 700 out. The guy's a monster. But I'm a very driven person. But I was always this person that I focus more on how things weren't good. Things weren't great, or I wasn't, where I wanted to be with whatever, and that causes one to go into areas that you can slip into a depression. There's all kinds of negative things that can happen, and I think a lot of musicians will get this. Maybe not, but sometimes when you're sitting at home on a Saturday night, instead of playing a gig, it's really easy to be thinking, "Oh, I suck. I'm not playing a gig because I'm a professional musician and all my friends are out playing and I'm sitting here on the couch watching TV," But then you get busy and you complain about, "Oh man, I'm gone all the time and I'm working all the time." It's this double-edged sword.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. People can sense that
Yeah.
when you're in the bad space,
Yeah.
It's like if you're single and you're like desperate, and you're walking to an environment trying to meet someone, if you're like hungry and desperate and insecure, no one is going to talk to you.
Yeah.
But if you're kind of generally you're happy, I'm in good space, I'm a person you want to be around, then things are going to happen. And so this is a great resource what we have here, like all the things that you guys talk about and all the books that we've talked about in all these episodes, for some personal growth and some psychology and faith and what have you, all of these things combine, and you just you can't go in like a bull in a china shop.
Yeah, you can't,
Yep.
and a perfect example this last weekend was we had some friends in from out of town that we hadn't seen in a long time, and they stayed with us last night and the night before, and I was so so thankful that I didn't have any gigs. I was like, you know what? I'm so glad I don't have a gig. I'm not doing, I'm going to do nothing. And we hung out by the pool and we barbecued and we had a great time. It wasn't a, and I was in the moment, and it had nothing to do with being a musician. It was just enjoying one's life. And so
Yeah.
I think that having that attitude of gratitude, because now today, before we got online, I'm recharged. I have some issues that I'm dealing with today that I'm going to be really busy today, but I'm kind of refreshed, and I think that's a good thing. And so within the networking thing, also take time to and enjoy your success when you do get it.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt, Bart. A great example to me of some great networking would be some of our regulars who've been on the show, or who are always commenting on the show. Jacob Sosa is a great example. He supported
Yes.
this show so much. When we were just getting started and we didn't have a lot of viewers, Jacob was making comments in the Facebook group, or I don't know, maybe he was on the YouTube channel making comments, contributing to the conversation, offering something of value. And sure enough, look at that. It was like, okay, Jeremy recognized, man, we should definitely have Jacob on the show. Like, great call, that guy.
And I learned a lot from that guy.
Yeah, and it's like he's a
man.
really motivated guy. He's got a lot of depth and talent, and look at that. Guys like Jim Royal in Connecticut always contributing. And so I think for our audience, just a reminder that we are your network. If you're watching this, you're part of this network. You have this resource of all of us, not just the four of us that are on screen, but we have our Facebook group. Put a comment out there. It's nothing new that social media is full of Facebook groups for drummers, but I'm really proud of our listeners and really happy, or followers, and really, really, really pleased with them, because everyone is always positive and encouraging. There's no bashing. There's none of that. Everybody is just really, really, really helpful. So if you want to get from here to here, use this resource. Find us on the Facebook, call us, email us, ask a question during the live show. And man, we're over 600 people. So that's a good network.
It is.
Yeah.
This is show 77, and
wow.
Yeah. I don't think we've done one show that I haven't walked away going, oh my gosh, I never thought of that,
Yeah.
You learn something for every show.
Yeah. You bring up Jim Royal, and the reason Jim Royal is connected with the Drummers Education Connection, and he's been a co-host with us on a couple of occasions,
right.
A guest on a couple of occasions.
Right.
The reason we know him at all is because I was standing next to him at a booth at the PASIC Expo 5 years ago, and we started talking, and I handed him a copy of my book. He was super grateful. He read it. He called me right away. He's like, oh my God, this book speaks to me. It's just like all my
Finding the groove.
Yeah. And we ended up becoming fast friends, stayed in touch. We talked about applying together to present together at PASIC, and we got accepted. We did a virtual presentation at PASIC last year. And so this all happened just because we struck up a conversation at a practice pad booth at the PASIC Expo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I count him as a dear friend and a great resource too. I mean, I've learned so much from the guy. He's got so much going on. He's so successful with everything he does in his studio in Connecticut, and he's taken his kids to travel around the world. His steel pan ensembles. And,
that's
it's
great.
just you never know. You never know, man. Yeah.
Yeah. When you met him, you didn't say, "Hey, I've got a book. Do you know people that can sell it for me?" You said, "Hey, here's my book."
Right.
You know what I mean? You gave him something. You were giving in your information.
That's right. And it wasn't just like I didn't know him. It wasn't just like I met him and handed it to him. It was like, we ended up standing there talking. We were talking about practice pads at first. And I
Yeah.
said, after 5 minutes talking about practice pads, I said, "Hey, my name's Jeremy." And, "Oh, I'm Jim." "Oh, where are you from?" "Oh, Connecticut." "Oh, what do you do?" "I got this and that." Going Drum Roll Drum Studio. "Oh, I do bandworks." "Oh, wow, that's really cool." We were super interested in each other because we had so much overlap and so many similarities. And then I thought, oh, well, for sure, I'm giving this guy a copy of my book. This is a new friend that I just made.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so you never know. The point is that you never know. You never know. And I didn't know all those things that happened from that one interaction. Honestly, I thought I would hand him the book. That might be the last time I ever talked to him.
Mhm.
Maybe we keep in touch, maybe, but all these other amazing things happen because he's a great guy and we connected so well. But my point is just like you never know. And you don't want to take anything for granted about who you meet, what they look like, how they dress, what their pedigree is, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Great, important, life-changing things can happen from what at the moment feel like practically meaningless interactions, but they're not. They're never meaningless, is my point.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep. Suit up and show up.
I like it.
Very well said. Very well
Hey,
said.
Jeremy,
Sure.
do you have an announcement
Oh, yeah.
to make, or is that too premature?
Well, no, I think I can safely say it. I am officially a Sabian artist.
Yeah! Yeah! Congratulations,
you guys.
man.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's really exciting. There's so many of my friends are Sabian guys. Sorry, Chip.
That's all right. And
but
look what happened through your networking.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it wouldn't have happened had I not known all the people that I know. Not when I emailed Chris Stanky at Sabian about becoming an endorser and talking about, hey, here's a list of all my very dear friends and colleagues who are Sabian guys, and I do the Drummers Education Connection with Rick and Bart, and I presented with Jim at D.E.C, and I'm friends with Dom and Joe Bergamini, who brought me on to Hudson, and all that stuff makes a difference, and that's the culmination of a networking story.
That's very cool. It's very cool.
And
That's
like you said before the show, I mean, despite knowing me and Rick, he still let you in. That's
that's what I mean when you say you never know. You can't judge a book by its cover because I mean, if I saw Bart walking down the street, I'd probably cross the other way, man.
Yeah. I hate to shave. I scare myself. I got a face for radio, so.
I'm just kidding.
That's awesome, man. Well, congratulations, Jeremy.
Oh, thanks, you guys.
Congratulations.
Thanks for all your help. And not just your help directly with the endorsement, but with your help becoming part of a really core part of my network. You guys are my friends. You support me. You give me advice. You share your wisdom. And you're always nothing but positive. And I hope I bring that back to you guys as well, because I certainly try to. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about, man. We're all here to help each other.
For sure, man. For sure.
I get by with a little help from my
friends.
friends.
Exactly.
Hey, we were in time there, dude. We were in time together. Look at that.
Drummer
now
time.
If I could only sing and we could harmonize. Now people know why we're drum teachers and not vocal.
I know. Right? Seriously.
Right. Did I ever tell you guys a story about when I was playing in an R&B band, and I had a headset mic on because I was singing backups, right? And it's one of those mics that it has an on and off switch on the little pack on the hip. You're wearing it right now, Rick.
Yeah.
And I had forgotten to turn it off on the songs that I didn't sing on, right?
Oh no.
So, but it could have been worse. But so we're playing a song, and the guitar player turns around and it gives me this really strange look. I'm like, what the heck? Did I play something wrong? Did I drop a beat? Like, no, I didn't. And then he keeps turning around repeatedly during the song and looking at me. And I don't know what the heck he's looking at me funny for. So I discover after the song's over that my mic is on. And while I'm playing, I'm grunting. Yeah, I'm making all this.
Oh,
It sounds like James Brown was playing the drums.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great.
So like dancing the whole time, and he's like, he's looking back like everybody can hear that, dude.
Oh man, that's fantastic. That's great.
Hey, I want to remind everybody out there too that we have a website, Drummers Education Connection. What is it? Drummers, educon.com.
Educon.
Oh,
Yes.
Drummers EdCon, drummersedcon.com.
Edcon.
Right.
It's on
And,
all the artwork.
Yes.
Yeah, and we've got every episode that we've ever filmed up there, links on the episodes page. We've got a couple of featured ones with Gene Hogan and Greg Bissonette. And we have links to some other resources, I think. And we're still developing that. And one of the things we're going to set up really soon is we're talking about having a live clinic day coming in November. So we're going to talk about going to Southern California and putting together a live. Can I say that out loud, you guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
No, don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Rick's going to be bringing the coffee.
Yeah.
That's right.
Rick's bringing the coffee for
That's
everybody.
it.
He's bringing
Coffee and sticks.
Hey, Jim
Got
Royal, if you just tuned in, man, you got a lot of play today. You got to go back and watch this whole episode because your name came up
Yes.
several times.
Jim did.
Royalty.
Jim did. He is definitely royalty. Definitely royalty. Good stuff.
All right, you guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. That was super fun. As always, I walk away learning so much from my fantastic friends here. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and leave your comments even after the show is on Facebook and you're watching it post fact. Feel free to put your comments up. We always read them and we'll reply to them. And we'll see you next week.
We appreciate y'all. We love you.
We will
Thank
see
you
you
so much.
guys next week. Thank you,
practice.
guys.
All right. Have a great week, everybody.